Yeah. Welcome to the Co-Creation Talk. Today we're gonna have a little discussion about conscious investing, tools and strategies for sustainable wealth creation. We're gonna talk about what does consciousness mean for me and for others, but also what does investing mean? What kind of myth do we have when we are talking about consciousness investment or conscious investment? And at the end, I'm going to present you a couple of steps and tools how you can invest by your own into the sustainable capital markets. What do we mean by consciousness? And for me, it is a very wide word. Consciousness means a lot, but just for this part, I'd say consciousness is the state or the quality of your awareness. How aware are you of your environment? And the question that I'm asking myself a lot is how conscious is our society? And if we are looking at our society, we got this really, really bad news of catastrophes all around the world, of separation, of building walls, of dividing people between poor and rich, and of course of how we are treating our animals. But being conscious is for me the understanding that we are one world. That separation is absolutely an illusion, because what is separating is just air and the state of mind, and nothing more. We are creating separation in our daily life. And a part of being conscious is being sustainable. We are living on this planet. We just got this one planet, and we all together live on this planet. And if we are not acting sustainable, we're not going to survive for a long time. And I think this is scientifically proven. Therefore, I haven't got any further scientific data. But let's direct our attention to something else, to conscious behavior. Where do we can see conscious behavior in our society today? And I believe, like most of us, trying to change society or sustainability by our pattern of the pattern of our consume, how we can consume stuff. Question to the crowd: who got a fair trade coffee mug, for example? A fair trade coffee mug, or like something fair trade or sustainable. Are you buying any sustainable?
Yes.
Sometimes. All right. Sometimes. Data shows us that there's a strong movement to sustainability, and this trend is worldwide. The global average was asked by Nielsen, would you pay more for fair trade stuff or sustainable products? And this representative study is showing that over the half of the global average said yes, we would pay more for products that are fair traded. It's just a little pity that Europe is the last one on this ladder. Especially Europe and North America are the richest continents on this planet. But why is conscious consuming so important and good for our world? Well, all companies, it doesn't matter which company you're working in or which company products you're consuming, every company has to produce their output after demand. If they're producing something without demand, they're going into bankruptcy. So conscious consumerism means also building conscious companies. This is one side of the medal. And looking at companies and talking about investment, companies as well as demand, they need money and capital to grow. Companies literally depend on investments, and these kind of investments have to come from somewhere. But what do we mean by investing? And quite easy to say, investing is the act of committing money or capital to an endeavor with the expectation of obtaining additional income or profit. Quite straightforward. What does conscious investing mean? It means putting your money into social responsible investing, like putting your money into companies or into a capital investment structure that is social responsible. And if you're putting your own money into social responsible capital or funds, for example, you're providing capital for companies who are trying to make a better world, or a world which is more fair. Question is, how can you change the world with your money? Because I believe a lot of people are trying to be vegan or vegetarian or buy stuff which is not made under very bad social conditions. I think we can all agree on that. But the big question is, what can you do with your money to enhance this kind of movement? And the question is, how do you invest in sustainable companies? And there are two main blocks of investing, two main asset classes. We know that most of the people are investing. The one asset class are stocks, and the other one are bonds. If you're buying a stock, you're buying a part of the company. You're buying a part of the equity. You are a shareholder. You have something to say. So wouldn't be good if you're just investing in companies who are social responsible? And the same with bonds. If you're investing into bonds, you're lending a company money. You're not a shareholder. You can't tell the company what to do, but you're giving out money. And a lot of companies are trying to get like low interest rates, and of course acquiring capital for their needs. Does anybody know how big the capital market is? Like just bonds and equity, share stocks? The overall market size in 2015 is 219 trillion US dollars. Bonds, if you translate it in German, it's Anleihe. And 219 trillion, in German Billionen, US dollar are within these markets. It's definitely a lot of money, and it definitely rose because we have a bull market last 2 years. But who belongs to this? Like, who is the owner of this money? Because like 290 trillion, it's like it doesn't belong to one person, it doesn't belong to one family. Who are the owners of all this capital going around? And statistically, 1/3 of the market belongs to individuals. Means people who are saying, okay, I'm gonna invest something into the stock market, I'm gonna invest something into the bond market. People like you and me. 2/3 of this market belongs to institutional investors, like pension funds, money managers, and so on and so on. But at the end, pension fund has to report to the owners, and these are the pensioners, people like us. So at the end, we are all the owner of this capital market, of this 290 trillion US dollar big market. And again, the question for me was, we care so much about what we are consuming, but why don't we care about where we are investing? Because it has a huge impact. Not only buying fair trade stuff, but also investing into social responsible companies. And why don't we vote our euros and US dollars for the good companies? The biggest concern is that we are getting lower returns on our investments, because it seems to be in our society that we think if we're buying ecological, we have to pay a higher price. If we're investing into social responsible companies, our rate of return is going down. But is that true? What happens if we are looking at sustainable companies and the returns? Like, get a deep, deep, deep look into it. And there's a very well-known Harvard research that shows if you have invested $1 20 years ago, like 22 years ago right now, into a portfolio of common companies, you would have today $14.46. We're talking just about $1 and 20 years, which is a quite nice return. But if you invested the $1 into a portfolio of social responsible companies, the rate of return is much, much, much higher. In this case, double the return, which is already like a really, really important information, because this myth is going out of our head. We can gain more money with the same risk and investing into a better future. Here again, data gathered from Deutsche Bank from 2007 till 2015, and we can see the average return of an MSCI portfolio, of an index, was close to 10% compared to 4% with the same index, but not with social responsible companies in it. At the same time, we're always talking about risk and return. And in this case, even the risk within this portfolio is lower, but the returns are higher. And in 2015, Deutsche Bank made like a meta-analysis of over 2,000 empirical studies, and the data shows that there's definitely correlation between corporate governance, social responsibility, ecological behavior, and the rate of return. So it is an amazing stuff. It's really, really great to invest into companies, but not only for the sake of good, but also to make higher returns with lower risk. The second concern a lot of people are having is, okay, I want to invest, but this seems to be just for elites. Where do I begin? Where do I start? And this again is a myth, because everybody can invest into the global sustainable market. A cheap and a good way to invest is, for example, a diverse exchange-traded fund portfolio. Who knows what an ETF is? Excellent. So it's widely known. It always depends about your risk profile and so on, but a portfolio could look like 50% of bond, 50% of equity or stocks, and it's quite easy to implement. The strategy to invest into a social responsible portfolio is quite easy. There are 4 steps. Step number 1 is get a security account. You can get a security account within your bank, with an investment firm, and this process will take you around, 15 minutes to create, and then you get a security account. Most cases it's for free. Step number 2, which is a little bit more complicated, is to evaluate your risk profile. Because your risk profile is telling you how much money are you investing into stocks or bonds. And step number 3 is to choose the right exchange-traded fund. We have today a wide variety of social responsible ETFs, some more strict, some less strict, but today it is quite easy to invest directly into those funds. And step number 4 is just do it. Do it, do it, do it, and do it. I believe the biggest obstacle in not investing into these sustainable capital markets is on our head. We always believe, I can't do it, I don't know, it's too complex. But at the end, all is matter and thoughts. are energy. So if you're concentrating for a better world, or you would like to create a better world, don't just do it with your consumerism, but also put your money into the right place. The big question is, where do you want to direct your energy? The energy is given to you, translated into money. Which little part you want to give into this whole capital market ocean, which is always belonging to you. Be conscious, be aware, invest into a better future, and make higher returns. Thank you very much.